Hey everyone, one more quick video tonight. I'm going to try to answer how high could Bitcoin's price go in the next few years. The short take is, I have no idea. Nobody has any idea. It's relatively easy to guess the directionality of Bitcoin's price, as in it's going to be very high. With specific numbers, basically everybody who's ever attempted to do a price prediction has been wrong. And so people, most of the time, have just stopped doing them because everyone's either way under or way over. But anyway, prior to the launch of the Bitcoin ETFs, most people were projecting the price, I would say maybe the midpoint of the price projections back when Bitcoin was maybe $30,000 per coin, was that after the next halving, which is coming up later this week, that the price would land maybe between $120,000 per coin and $180,000 per coin. Now, you got to remember those price predictions were being made when Bitcoin was perhaps $30,000 per coin. So those price predictions were, significantly larger, 5x to 8x or 6x or whatever, 5 to 6x, 7x, whatever, of what the price was at that time. As a result of the very strong demand from the Bitcoin ETFs, everybody has basically been raising their price targets. So now 120,000 per coin up to 180,000 per coin sounds super conservative and super modest. And so a lot of people are sort of raising their price estimates to maybe 180,000 per coin up to maybe $250,000 per coin. And then, of course, there's people out there saying, oh, it's going to go to $450,000 per coin. Who knows? The short take is nobody knows. But all that matters is directionality, which is the price, is headed for much higher than today. But just like with adoption of the internet, there's no way of telling exactly how fast the internet's going to be adopted, what the major pivot points are going to be for internet adoption. For example, nobody knew that in 2007, Apple was going to release the iPhone, and suddenly mobile apps and the internet experience on a handheld device was going to radically change, resulting in a radical increase in the use of the internet. I mean, just stuff like that happens to Bitcoin, it happens to the internet. So I think what'll happen typically is you'll get a halving, and then within 6 months of the halving, the price will really very, very clearly directionally be going up. And I think at some point it'll get into the 100s of thousands, and maybe it'll get into the 200s of thousands. And at some point I will start cautioning people that there will be at some point a major price correction, which always happens because when something grows that fast, it's impossible for the price not to eventually get ahead of itself. It's just mathematically impossible when something's growing that fast that people don't pile on late, especially when the price really, really, really goes high. People just start piling on based on fear of missing out. So inevitably at some point you get a price correction, and then as a result, then it sort of resets to a more modest price, and then it just keeps marching onward, and the price eventually does exactly the same thing over again. So you're probably wondering, if the price of Bitcoin is going to correct at some point in the future, why would you not wait to buy Bitcoin until that price correction? And the answer is because I think that future price correction, let's call it 2026, is going to correct to a price that is significantly above today's price. So for example, perhaps the price runs up to $180,000 and then it crashes down to $90,000. Well, $90,000 is still way higher than today's price, and it will probably only be at $90,000 for a series of days or weeks or months, and then it will march back up just like it always does. Maybe it goes up to $350,000 and then the price crashes down to $150,000. I don't know. Nobody knows. I just think the next big price correction is going to be significantly higher than today's price. Therefore, if that was not the case, if I did not think that was the case, then I would be recommending people dollar cost average into Bitcoin, which means buy the same amount of Bitcoin, every day or every week, like $100 or maybe $1,000 a week or $500 a week or $100 a week or whatever you can afford. And that is a safer way of buying Bitcoin if you are in, the top end of a bullish market, a very up market. The safer way to buy it if you're worried that a big downturn may be around the corner, is to do dollar cost averaging. Historically, though, at this stage in the Bitcoin price cycle, it makes way more sense just to buy and hold than it does to dollar cost average, because we are so early in this price cycle. But at some point that will change and it'll start making more sense to dollar cost average. I just don't think that time is now, but I could be wrong. So anyway, all that to say, nobody knows how high the price could go. Most people are in the, let's call it, the lowest estimates that are out there are maybe probably $150,000 per coin. The highest estimates are maybe $450,000 per coin for this cycle. So, the midpoint there, somewhere in the 150 to 450. Again, maybe that's 350, maybe that's $350,000, maybe it's 250, maybe it's 150, who knows? And then we end up getting a price correction, and the magnitude of the price correction is to some degree a function of how huge the run-up was. So the larger the run-up you get, and the more sort of really, really, really euphoric the price gets on the high end, the larger the correction, because some of that fear of missing out, purchasing at the very tail end, represents, people who are going to panic and flee and sell on the way down, which is going to make the correction, it's going to amplify it. But again, all that matters in my case is I think the next major price correction, let's call it 2026, I think that is going to be to a price significantly higher. That downturn will be a price higher than today's price, therefore making it make sense to buy Bitcoin now rather than to wait. And also, if you're using the Coinbase debit card to make purchases, it also gives you the opportunity to spend your Bitcoin all the way through a bull market and then buy some back after, when the price comes back down sometime in 2026. And it certainly, I don't think, will be as cheap as Bitcoin is today, but probably cheaper than it will be before or after that time. But who knows? So anyway, price targets are all over the place. If someone forced on the low end to, I don't know, $250,000 per coin, maybe $280,000 per coin. And obviously when we're sitting at a price right now of 63,000, 64,000 per coin, those are huge multiples of that. Then I think we get I think it just keeps doing that until Bitcoin's probably over $1 million per coin. But I think it's going to take more than one cycle to get to $1 million per coin. So I think it will probably take even more than one cycle to get to $500,000 per coin. So that's why I've told people I think into $1 million per coin. I just don't think it's going to get there in the next 18 months. I think it's going to take this cycle to get into the sort of a good chunk of the way there into the 200,000, 150, 250, 350,000, whatever. Then there's a 2030 than it is in the next year or two. So hopefully all that's helpful. I am here for anything y'all need. Thanks.